XXFM.
This is Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth. Welcoming back to the program. It is that time of year again. He is the CEO of Career and Recovery Resources Incorporated, better known as CRR. Please welcome a friend to the program, Dr. Vernus C. Swisher. Welcome back.
Thank
sir.
you, KG. It is a pleasure to be with you.
It's always a pleasure to see you, sir, because, Career and Recovery Resources are doing some incredible things in the community. So much so that your chair for the fundraiser is none other than City Councilman. Let me get that right. Dwight Boykins. What's up, Dwight?
And his lovely wife,
and his
Genora.
wife, Genora.
That's
yeah.
right. We're really honored to have Dwight and Genora. They do so much in the community.
Yeah,
they're so committed. So I'm just honored.
And you as well, sir. So for those who may not be familiar, because every year it's a few more 100,000 comes to Houston.
That's right. Absolutely.
To live. So tell us about what Career and Recovery Resources does.
Career and Recovery Resources has a mission of helping people identify and overcome barriers to employment. I want to thank you, KG, for having us back again. I remember the discussion we had last year about helping people to identify what may be holding them back.
Yes.
That's very important because, when you apply for a job, you're not always going to get an affirmative the first time.
Right.
And you have to keep knocking.
Yeah.
And there may be an issue that may be holding one back or a person back. And what Career and Recovery Resources is involved in is helping to identify what that might be, what that barrier is.
Yeah. Can you, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. Can you share a great success story of yours? I'm sure you've got plenty.
We
do. I don't think I've ever.
We do.
I don't think you've ever shared one. Or I don't think I've ever asked you to share one.
It's a delight. We'll at the luncheon, and that's why we're here to tell your audience about the Barrier Breaker Award Luncheon,
which is going to be on June 25th. Right?
That's right, at the Hyatt Regency Hotel.
Yes,
and we'll have star clients there, and those star clients will tell their stories, and those stories are completely unscripted. I remember several years ago, we had a veteran, female, that was living in her automobile, but she was also living with her animal. She had a comfort dog, and she was having great difficulties finding a place to live and finding employment. And the great team at Career and Recovery Resources was able to get her job working at an animal shelter.
Oh, wow.
Isn't God good?
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows how it works. That was her passion. That was her love. And I could tell you stories and stories and stories of how the staff at Career and Recovery Resources listened to the client and then determined how best can we help this client overcome the barriers to employment.
And that is probably the most important component to what you all do.
Yes, it is.
You listen.
Yes.
And you understand, and you try to get them to a place where they want to, into a position that they want to be in.
Exactly.
A lot of folks will just be like, okay, oh, well, here, I got you this job. Well,
right.
Well, it isn't. Well, it's a job. So,
right. Sure.
Do you want it or not?
Sure. You're
So
absolutely right. I do want to say, KG, that since last year, I have retired.
You did what?
So, but the team and the work goes on.
It absolutely continues. The marathon continues.
The marathon continues. And I'm just so happy and thankful to have spent 23 years at Career and Recovery Resources with a great team, helping people to identify and overcome barriers to employment. Sometimes those barriers may be substance abuse.
Yeah.
And individuals also may be coming out of prison. Mm-hmm. So that may be two barriers, okay? And we have, and I still say we because I'm retired and I still relate to the agency.
Absolutely.
But just an outstanding group of counselors who listens. Again, it's very important to listen and to help individuals understand what those issues are. Mm-hmm. And then once identified, own it and then move forward.
Indeed. You listen to Access Houston. We're talking to Dr. Vernus C. Swisher, CEO, founder of Career and Recovery Resources. He is now retired, though. I just learned. Yeah. So what are we a beach bum now? Or?
Oh, no. I'm not. KG, I know that the last time we were together and you interviewed thousands of people, so you can't remember all of the details, even though your mind is like a steel trap.
Yes.
But I'm a pastor.
Yes.
So my work goes on.
Your work goes on.
My work goes on.
Yes, indeed.
And so it's about serving, and Career and Recovery Resources afforded me the opportunity to serve as a CEO, and I'm still serving as a pastor. Indeed.
And of course, leading the flock the correct way. Can you talk about the fulfillment? The gift of giving, helping people, like that is the greatest gift.
That really is.
I know
it is.
When I help folks out, just out of the kindness of my
there
heart,
you go.
I know that I'm paying it forward.
That's right.
And that it'll come back.
Yeah.
For you, I'm sure the blessings have been tenfold.
Yeah, they are. As I think and relate and sometimes clients will call me direct. This week I had a former client call me and was saying, Dr. Swisher, I want to come down and volunteer at the agency. I started doing a project last summer, and I want to finish that project because that's my commitment. Yeah. Well, this particular client wants to pay it forward. And this particular client came into our agency on a cold winter day without a coat and was very cold and was very hungry and also had an addiction to cocaine. I just want you to fast forward with me. Last year or year before last, this particular client was one of our star clients and said that I want you all to know that Career and Recovery Resources assisted me. And now I have finished college and I am 60 plus years old.
Wow. What a story.
God is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
And to have her call me yesterday, hopefully she'll hear this, to have her call me yesterday and said, I'm still committed. I want to volunteer. That's really what the agency is about.
That speaks volumes.
It does. I remember a client, if I may say this, and we're just so thankful to have all the support, the support of our board, the support of our advisory board. I want to make sure I say that. And the support of J.P. Morgan Chase.
Hey.
J.P. Morgan Chase is our underwriter for this event.
Okay.
And that bank has been a supporter of Career and Recovery Resources since I have been there.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
So they are really committed.
They are
they're about that life, as the kids say.
Yeah, they are very, very committed. And so I just wanted to sort of give a shout out to them. But I want to tell you about a client some years ago. Mm-hmm. That's really, the last I heard, he was in the radio business.
Okay.
And he was telling his story. And he was talking about how the agency had assisted him, and he broke out in song, and he had the whole audience singing, what makes that little old ant thinks that he can move a rubber tree plant because he has high hopes.
Yeah.
And that's what that's what the staff, who's now led by Kelly Young.
Okay.
Kelly Young is the CEO. Okay. That's what the staff at Career and Recovery Resources, that staff is committed to helping people to have high hopes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, listen here. We are excited for Barrier Breakers that is being put on by Career and Recovery Resources. Save the date, June 25th.
Right.
That is a Tuesday, the 23rd Barrier Breakers Award Luncheon.
That's right.
Which you will be honored this year.
Yes.
Our retired CEO, Dr. Vernus C. Swisher.
Isn't that kind of our board and our staff?
Very much so. Well, I mean, well, sir, you absolutely deserve it.
Well,
and so
God is gracious to me, and God is kind.
Yes, he is.
And I'm very thankful.
Yes, very thankful and blessed because you're looking amazing. For more information, you can log on to careerandrecovery.org/barrier breakers. That's careerandrecovery.org/barrier breakers for more information for you to register. And so we hope to see you down at the Hyatt Regency on Tuesday, June 25th at, what time does it start?
11:30.
11:30.
And
so we'll see you there.
And we're committed to being out by one sharp. Kelly has said, I want us to be out at 1.
Yeah.
And so we're working very, very hard to accomplish that.
Well, I'm sure we will be out at 1. And so save the date, folks, for Tuesday, June 25th. Dr. Vernus C. Swisher. So good to see you, and congratulations on your retirement. I guess you can visit more of the sick and shut in now.
I can do more visiting.
Yeah,
I can do that during the week now.
Yeah,
I can do that during the week, and I've had a great opportunity to visit with some sick and shut in or seniors or even visiting schools.
Yeah,
I'm a Rotarian. And we have visited some elementary schools.
Nice.
And we have given out dictionaries. So it's about serving. Serving is given.
That's right.
And God has given us the gift of life.
Well, there's no doubt that when he sees you, that his 2 words will be, well done.
God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Swisher. So good to see you.
God bless you.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth, welcoming from the Houston-Galveston Area Council. He is the senior planner at the Houston at H-GAC. What do you guys call it for short?
We call it HGAC.
Okay, at HGAC. Please welcome Mr. Clint McManus. Good morning.
Thanks. Good morning, KG.
How are you, man?
I'm doing great.
First time, don't be nervous, man. I'm easy. We're just going to have the conversation about bike safety. But before we get into that, a lot of people may not know who and what the Houston-Galveston Area Council is and what they do. So can you explain that just real quickly about you all?
Sure, that's a good question. We are a regional planning organization, so we plan for the region's transportation infrastructure, not just bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, but also roadways, transit, and we also do a whole bunch of other planning related to things such as aging, hazard mitigation, housing, you name it. We serve as sort of the regional planning organization at that level. I specifically just focus on bicycle and pedestrian planning myself, so I can't speak in detail to everything.
But just in general, so folks can have an idea.
Definitely.
You guys do great work in the region. Actually, you all were the catalyst for me beginning to take public transportation at least one day a week to help cut down on, emissions and all of that. So having you all on the program, it's been a few years, maybe about 3 years ago. And I was like, wow, you all are right. Because I'm all about, trying to reserve this planet, trying to help, keep us. I mean, I still want to be around, you know what I'm saying? And so you all definitely helped inspire me to do that, which I still do.
Awesome.
And yeah, so that's great. And you guys are talking about transportation, but in another way, bike safety, bike transportation. Like, why is it important to talk about bike safety? Because, Houston it's huge, it's growing, and I can tell by the amount of traffic
Right.
that has increased. But, with all of the beautiful parks here and just people living in these communities that they do bicycle a lot, and you can actually rent a bicycle right off the street to ride around. So why is bike safety so important, especially for this region?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Well, as you mentioned, a lot of people bike around for recreation, and that's great. That's wonderful. We have tons of awesome parks throughout the region that you can drive to and bike, or you can bike to and bike.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, we have a whole bunch of folks in the region, whether they be students trying to get to class, folks trying to get to work. As you mentioned, people who take the bus, oftentimes they get to their bus station or their bus stop or their rail stop using a bike, or maybe they'll walk as well. And then once they get to their destination, they've got to hop on their bike again and get to their final destination. So in addition to recreation, we've got a whole bunch of people out in the region that are actually using bicycles as a primary or secondary means of transportation. And we're all trying to get safely to and from where we need to go. Whether we're in a car or a bus or a bike or walking. And it's important that we remember that and make sure that we're keeping other folks' safety in mind, particularly folks on bicycles who are exposed more in traffic.
They're becoming a lot more courteous to bikers. I mean, now they have their own lane, on the streets and whatnot. What I am interested to know, because I don't know the laws here, and shame on me for not knowing. I mean, I should, but what are the bike safety rules or laws in the region? Is it mandatory for one to wear a helmet or to have on a reflector jacket, or what are just the basic bike safety rules or laws, if you will, when riding around in Houston-Galveston area?
Yeah, laws can differ by community. So what applies in Houston? So for example, Houston has a 3-foot passing rule, which is wonderful. Meaning, if you're in a vehicle, you're required to give a bicyclist at least 3 feet distance from the bicycle so that they can remain safe. If they were to fall for some reason while you were passing them, 3 feet is hopefully enough to where, they'd just fall and wouldn't.
And you don't hit them.
Exactly. Wouldn't come into conflict with your vehicle. And that's true in other communities throughout the region as well. They have passing rules, not everybody, but that is definitely a very important thing that drivers should do. Always give cyclists enough room, whether it's required by your community or not. Also, wearing a helmet absolutely should be required. Above a certain age, it's more or less your decision. But a helmet is sort of a tool of last resort. There are many things that bicyclists can do to keep themselves safe on the road, and drivers can do to help keep bicyclists safe. But you never know when someone just might make a small mistake, and that helmet is really important to save your life and make sure that you get back to your family safely. So always wear a helmet. There are no laws that I am aware of around reflective gear, but again, just wearing light-colored clothing if you don't have reflective gear, or if you do have it, reflective gear is incredibly impressive. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody wearing it at night.
Well, with the stripes on, like if they'll have on, like, I don't know. I seen one guy, he had to be like a professional bicyclist or something, probably did Tour de France or something like that. But he had on what looked like a compression shirt and pants, and it had the stripes of reflectors around, his outfit, if you will. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I was like, oh, look at it. He's looking all Black Panther-ish with the, so yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, so there's the added benefit, fashion.
Yeah, right. You listen to Access Houston. We're talking to Clint McManus, the senior planner for the Houston-Galveston Area Council. We're talking bike safety and driver safety. So let's get into driver safety. Very important. I'm glad that we are talking about this, because let's just be honest here. If this is the honesty hour. People can't drive. People cannot drive. I do not mean to sound all Trumpish, but those that I see that are lagging behind or being slow or staying in the left lane or, trying to get over, stopping the traffic in one lane when you're trying to get to the left to get on to the feeder or on to the highway. Or normally people that are not from America or international, and they're probably just getting accustomed to, I guess, driving on the right side and all of that. I promise you, every time anybody that's holding up the traffic or doing something, like, oh man, they're not from here. So when it comes to driver safety, what is the most important thing that drivers should be doing? Yeah, and I know that's kind of rhetorical. I mean, we know that answer, but
sure. And again, I'm not as well versed in the driver side of things. I can tell you, certainly being in a community that's really diverse, we've got folks coming from all over the place, and
over.
And in terms of bicycle safety, we do know that different communities teach people how to ride bikes differently, and so it's important that we do communicate how best to navigate our roadways. I know that a lot of folks grew up learning to ride against traffic, for example,
right?
Because it's often seen as a better way to stay visible, when actually all of the studies show that that's not true. It's important to ride with traffic. You actually remain more visible when you do that. If you're walking, just to talk about pedestrians for a second, I know it's a little bit off subject, but if you're a pedestrian and there is no sidewalk, it actually is safer to walk against traffic if you have to be in that horrible situation where you're on the roadway. But for bicyclists, always ride with traffic. I think it's always just good to keep in mind we're coming from all over the place. It's such a diverse city, which is great. And I think that's a good reason to, especially if you see someone on the road who may not be familiar with the rules as a bicyclist, to slow down and give them space. So,
yeah. So what safety tips should a driver be aware when they see a bicyclist?
Yeah.
I know that the 3
foot rule. Yeah, exactly. One important thing is obviously slow down, especially at intersections. Intersections are the place where the big conflict points happen. People are trying to turn. There's all different types of intersections. People are going left, right, coming straight through. And both for bicyclists and drivers, it's important to just obey all the laws. So a bicyclist should stop at stop signs and stoplights always. And of course, drivers should too.
Drivers should too. And drivers be respectful of the bicyclists and the pedestrians, because a lot of times, since they're in this vehicle, they think, oh, I'm Billy Badass. I can run you over if, because I'm in a vehicle and you're walking or you're on a bike. But it's like, no, pedestrians have the right of way.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, as you said, at the intersection, is to just slow down and look both ways. I know that sounds
very elementary.
Yeah. I don't.
Look both ways before you cross the street,
right,
guys.
And that's true. And we learn that as pedestrians. But when we're driving, if I'm pulling up to a stop sign and I'm turning right, usually the only direction I look is left, because I'm trying to see if there's another car coming.
Right. And
we're trained like that. Our brains are trained to only see things that are as big as us and moving at the same speed as us. So we're trained to see cars as drivers. But there may be a pedestrian that's trying to cross from your other side that you're just not seeing, or a cyclist.
Yeah. You're listening to Access Houston. Clint McManus is in the building, senior planner for the Houston-Galveston Area Council. So since we talked about the drivers, what safety tips for the bicyclist?
So you mentioned some a little bit earlier. Helmet, always wear a helmet. I think they will be in style one day. The more people that wear them, the more people that will want to wear them. So helmet always. There's an important, really easy trick that you can learn before you get on your bike. It's called ABC. So anytime before you get on your bike, check your air pressure. That's the A. Yeah. The B is check your brakes, and the C is check your chain. And I know that, again, that sounds a little elementary, but those three things can actually keep you really safe. If you don't have air in your tires, or if your brakes aren't working, you're more likely to crash.
Yeah.
And then I think the third thing that I would say is try not to wear headphones if you can. You need all your senses as a bicyclist to hear somebody coming behind you or in front of you. So it may be tempting, but don't wear headphones. You can actually...
Don't wear them. Yeah. I learned that the hard way living in Atlanta, but that's a whole nother story. For all of the information, where can folks go to get more safety tips?
Yeah, you can head to H-GAC.com. And you can search there for bicycle. It should take you to the right page. So it's got a search function on our page there.
And then you guys are on social media as well. Where can we follow you there?
It is at Hugh-Galv Area Cog. That's HOUGALVAREACOG. And that's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
All right. Well, summertime is here. It's officially summer. Well, Memorial Day made the unofficial start of summer, but summer is officially the end of June. But we in the summertime. People are riding, they're driving, they're swimming. So get those safety tips on the website. And Clint, man, thank you for coming through. I hope I made it easy for you, man.
Totally. Thanks, KG.
And thank you for listening to Access Houston.
We'll be back with more Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.